How's it going, everyone? Savi for Mars 1000. Today is March 6th, 2021, and I thank you guys for watching this video. As today, we're going to determine the chances of seeing major snow in the Midwest, as well as seeing a potentially major severe weather threat in the Southeast headed into next week. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's take a look at this map I made, which gives a good idea of who exactly could get impacted by the potential severe weather threat, as well as a potential snowstorm that could form in the Midwest. And you see now what's going to set the stage for a lot of this severe weather and this potentially major snow to occur is this big jet stream dip, where we do see that jet stream dip dipping just far enough south to interact with that very warm Gulf of Mexico air. And since the Gulf of Mexico air holds a lot of water vapor, it's going to be forced upwards and will create very strong updrafts, very buoyant air molecules to create a potentially major severe weather threat for a lot of southeast. And with unstable air, there's also stronger upper level winds, and that could increase the likelihood of tornadoes as well. So it's definitely something we need to at least keep in mind with these major jet stream dips, that there's always that possibility we could see a major severe weather threat or a major snowstorm out of a jet stream dip, whether it's big or large, depending on how strong the trough is. And you see the trough is right around this area through the mid, and it's going to move through the Midwest, and this snow could potentially affect those as far south as New Mexico and all the way up north across the border into Canada. So this would be a very impactful event if this snowstorm were to come for fruition. And I do think there's definitely that possibility, since that jet stream dip will definitely strengthen this low pressure system to maybe bring a major snowstorm event to the Midwest and maybe the Northeast, who knows. But let's take a look at a computer model, see what they're saying. And like I said in my previous video, it's going to be very quiet for the most, at least for the short-term future in the United States. You see, for the most part, most of the United States is dry. We do see the low pressure that's meandering over eastern Canada, which is bringing cooler than average temperatures throughout the Northeast and portions of the Midwest, where we do see a small pressure gradient between this ridge that's dominating a lot of the United States right now, bringing dry conditions, and it's bringing down a lot of those northwesterly winds further southward to bring that cold air and make. However, the low pressure is far enough to pretty much make it completely dry in the Northeast, so nothing to worry about there. We do see some showers in the Southeast. However, they're not really much of any threat, besides maybe bringing a little bit of rain. No flood threat is forecasted from this, and no severe weather. And in the Northwest, we do see a little bit of snow, but it's typical. It's not anything out of the ordinary of what we've been seeing in the Northwest Pacific. And I do expect a lot more precipitation, more specifically this March, since we are going to see that Pacific jet stream bring a lot of troughs to the Northwest Pacific. But for the most part, the Midwest and Northeast is completely dry with no major storms. However, that's expected to change headed into next week, where we do see a trough that's going to move further southward and bring that jet stream downwards to the point where the cold air is going to interact with the much warmer air, and that will create a very unstable environment in this region to create some sort of trough. And you see that we're going to see this first trough form right around the Midwest, where we do see a large amount of snow throughout Wyoming and the Dakotas as well. It isn't a ton of snow, I'd say. The storm isn't extremely strong. However, we do see a difference in the GFS model, where now the GFS model is taking a little bit more of a strengthened and well-defined low pressure system in the Midwest headed into next week. Because if we take a look at the previous run, the run I was looking at yesterday, you see the low pressure is a lot weaker. There isn't as large of an area of snow, and it isn't dumping much snow at all. It isn't dumping as much snow at all. So for the most part, it was very weak, but now the low pressure is a lot stronger, and now it has the potential of dumping over 6 inches of snow based off of the current forecast the GFS model is currently expecting as of right now. And you see the GFS model is now detecting a little bit more unstable air to rapidly strengthen this storm as it heads to the northeast, and it would bring a large area of snow throughout the Midwest, and certainly a threat you guys need to be at least aware of. So this forecast goes just beyond 4 days out, 4 to 5 days out, so there's still a lot of time to narrow down the forecast to get the forecast more certain. However, as of right now, the forecast from the GFS model is bringing snow to the northern Midwest states. If we take a look at what the European model is forecasting, the European model is also forecasting a little bit of snow in the Midwest, but to a much lesser extent to where the snow is a lot weaker. So there isn't really much agreement in the computer models, unfortunately, to make this a very certain forecast just yet for the northern Midwest states like North Dakota and Minnesota. However, it's becoming increasingly likely that you will see at least some sort of snow event in the northern Midwest, whether it's only 1 inch of snow, whether it's a dusting, or whether it's 8 inches of snow or more. I think it's likely you guys will experience at least some sort of snow somewhere in the Midwest. Exactly where and how heavy in the northern Midwest, that has yet to be seen, and it really all depends on how much unstable air there will be to fuel this storm and to really get this storm to strengthen. And if this jet stream dips or orients itself to where it's a little bit more pronounced and we do see a little bit more unstable air, expect a major snowstorm in the northern Midwest. However, if the jet stream dip is weak and isn't as pronounced as initially expected, more so, it's more likely to lean more towards the European model where it's taking a weaker snowstorm. However, you might be thinking that this is the only snowstorm we're keeping track of, but that's far from the case because there's another snowstorm after this that's expected to form right around the southern states, right around the Texas and Mexico border. Because if we move beyond the 5 day mark, which I typically don't like to do, but I just want to show you guys this because I want to exemplify the point that we're going to be in a pattern where there's going to be a large jet stream dip, and that could set the stage for a lot more future snowstorms in the Midwest and southern states. Exactly where, how much snow from this next trough still has yet to be seen, and there's still high uncertainty with it. But I just want you guys to get out of this that there's going to be a major jet stream dip that could set the stage for more future snowstorms and severe weather as well in the southeast. So keep that a close eye on this if you're in the Midwest, because I think that this could potentially be major if all the right ingredients play out. And you see that right around the 7 day mark, we do see a large area of snow extending and impacting just millions of people throughout the Midwest. And this could be potentially major because look at how far south that jet stream dips. That's just a lot of that's of just a very unstable region overall, and it definitely could strengthen this storm into something more than just low pressure bringing some rain showers or just a dusting of snow. And the European model is also leaning towards bringing a very potent snowstorm next week, where around, I'd say just past the 7 day mark, you see that the European does forecast a low pressure system to form, and quite potent as well. Well, I wouldn't say insanely potent, but it's big enough to dump a decent amount of snow throughout the Midwest, affecting millions of people and bringing many inches of snow. But for the most, but there's still high uncertainty with this snowstorm, so there's still a lot to keep track of. We still need to see how far south that jet stream dips, but I think that based off the current pattern we're going to see, I think it's going to promote more snowstorms in the Midwest and at least some sort of snow event in the Midwest, whether it's major or whether it's just a dusting. it still has yet to be seen, but I think that the Midwest definitely should be watching because if all the right ingredients play out, we could see a potentially major March snowstorm, and we have seen very major March snowstorms in the Midwest. The one I remember the most vividly, I'm pretty sure it happened in March 2019, where we had that blizzard that just brought feet of snow to many states in the Midwest, including Denver and a lot of, I think Kansas was involved as well. And it brought wind gusts over 70 miles per hour in some areas. So you definitely don't want to underestimate these snowstorms just because it's the month of March and we're approaching spring. While that is true, we are approaching spring. March is still should be considered a winter month for the most part, especially since it's too common that we see major snowstorms during the month of March. So just keep aware of this in the Midwest. It really all depends on how far south that jet stream dips. And if it dips just far south enough, we could see a major snowstorm in your hands in the Midwest. And moving on to now the Southeast, there's also the possibility that you guys could see a major severe weather threat, or I shouldn't call it the Southeast, I'd say more specifically the Southern Midwest, where you could get a major severe weather threat out of this next week. Where if we take a look at the first trough, you see that for the most part it's dry for the Southern Midwest thanks to this ridge that's just dominating and forcing a lot of moisture further northward rather than meandering further southward. So as a result, it's mostly dry, but on the back side of this, we do see that jet stream dip, and we do see some convection occurring right along the jet stream, where we do see some precipitation begin to form right around the Midwest states, and we do see a decently defined area of heavy rain or even thunderstorms. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of these could be severe because of this jet stream dip interacting, which is forcing that cold air to interact with that very warm air. You see a pretty well defined squall line just past the 6 day mark. There's still a lot of uncertainty with this, but since both the computer models are leaning towards being a major jet stream dip in the United States, I think it's more likely than not we will see some type of thunderstorm activity in the Midwest United States, whether how severe it is or how if it will be severe at all. That still has yet to be seen, depending on the orientation the jet stream puts itself in. But I'd say more likely than not, you guys will experience some sort of severe weather, or at least a thunderstorm threat right around the southern Midwest. And with this second trough I was talking to you about, that has the potential of becoming a even more major snowstorm than this first trough. There's just going to be a lot of unstable air in this region, and you see that thunderstorms begin to form. And usually, when we're talking about a very potent snowstorm, it needs something that fuels it, and a lot. And what fuels these major snowstorms are typically very strong thunderstorms, there are strong updrafts, because for a snowstorm to be powerful, it needs just very strong unstable air. It needs a lot of convection, and if it doesn't have that, then this snowstorm you see right here, or what's forecasted, wouldn't be major. So for the most part, I think it's almost a given to expect severe weather out of this major snowstorm based off of the forecast. But again, we're 6, 7 days out, so a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things and questions to be answered. So we just have to wait and see. But I'd say for the southern United States, you guys need to pay close attention to this, because you guys could experience damaging winds from this potential jet stream dip that will induce thunderstorms. Also, hail is a possibility, and maybe a tornado threat, depending on the upper how strong the upper level winds are during this time. So definitely something to keep in mind. But let's say the GFS model was 100% correct when forecasting snowfall. How much snowfall would you receive from these next two troughs that are expecting to move through the United States? So you see with this first trough, The GFS model is expecting a pretty big area of 6 to 12 inches right around northern Minnesota. And you see that there's a good area of 3 to 6, which is still very impactful. Do not underestimate 3 to 6 inches. And it's affecting a lot of people. However, this next snowstorm could potentially be much more dire, where we do see close over a foot of snow right around Missouri. Still a ton of uncertainty. It is beyond 7 days out. But if the GFS model was correct, assuming that there is just enough unstable air to strengthen this storm, we could see another major snowstorm or multiple major snowstorms in our hands in the Midwest, assuming this pattern stays like this headed into next week. And the orientation of jet stream is just strong enough. And taking a look at the European model, in term when if the European model were correct in its snowstorm case, you're gonna see that it's also bringing just very heavy snowfall accumulation to the Midwest, and it's definitely something that's very interesting. It could impact just millions of people, and you guys need to pay close attention to this, where the European brings well over a foot as well in a lot of the same areas as the GFS. So this could be dire. Pay close attention to this, and I want you guys to stay safe. There's still a lot of uncertainty, but I will make sure to answer all these questions the best I could over the next several days once the forecast becomes more certain. And yeah, guys, we just need to wait and see over the next several days. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a good day.